Today, a jury was selected. 8 men and 6 women have been chosen. And one thing stood out: no black jurors were picked. Investigative reporter Tanya Iser joins us now live from the newsroom to help put this into context for us. Tanya, you've been following this from the beginning here, and you're going to be following, of course, this trial as it goes all the way through. Let's talk about jury selection right now. Can you walk us through this process? We know it was tough in this case, but can you walk us through this?
Yeah, I sure can. So what happened here was 200 potential jurors were called down. They arrived on Monday. They were given questionnaires. There was about 10 of them that were dismissed for a variety of reasons. Maybe they had a work conflict or some reason why they could not serve. And then on Wednesday, after they'd filled out a 25-page questionnaire, those jurors who had said that they knew something about the case, they came back, and then they were questioned. And then those who, about several dozen of them, who said that they had a feeling one way or the other, they were, for the one side or the other, or had some bias, they were dismissed. And then jurors were called back down. And it's important to note that these jurors are randomly numbered. And so when they were all called back down on Thursday, they were all renumbered randomly. And so when today, as they were called in, you had 46 potential jurors who were called in of that original 200, again, randomly numbered. And so what's going to happen is juror number one, right, the potential juror number one, if nobody objects and they're picked, okay, they become the first juror. And then maybe this, the second or third, fourth person down the line, maybe one side objects or something. And so they keep going down the line numerically till they get to that 12 jurors and that 2 alternates. So they got through 46. And of that 46 potential jurors that were called in, there was one black potential juror. She was excused because her wife was having surgery. And so I get why people are upset, but that's the process, and that's how we get to a jury that has this makeup. And I think it's really important to note, this is not an all-white jury. There are several minorities on this jury, Jason.
But there is some concern, as you mentioned there, in the community about the makeup of the jury here, Tanya. Is this a typical Tarrant-County jury? I think it's important to kind of bring that in for perspective.
It is. I spoke with a number of attorneys who practice in Tarrant County, and this is actually a very typical Tarrant County jury. The jury pools in Tarrant County are overwhelmingly white, and a lot of that has to do with the racial makeup of the county. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the reality. And one former prosecutor I spoke with today, she said that, as in recent years, as the county has become more diverse, you have started to see more diversity in the jury pools. But one thing everybody said to me, both community activists and people who practice in Tarrant County, is if you get called to serve, come down, be a part of the jury process. It's really important.
Tanya, last question for you here. There have been so many delays just getting to this point where we've got a jury seated in this trial. What do we expect come Monday when this trial actually finally gets underway?
Well, we're going to have opening statements. And we're going to hear the defense present their case. Presumably they're going to say, that Aaron Dean was in fear for his life and he made a split-second decision and that the jury should acquit. Prosecution's going to say, I presume they're going to say, look, he was called out there for a welfare check. He had no cause to go into her backyard. He never announced himself as a police officer. Atatiana Jefferson is in her house with her own weapon and has every right to protect herself. So I think you're going to hear both those sides, and then the case is going to go about a half day on Monday because there will be a funeral for an attorney who was involved in this case who has passed away, Jim Lane. And we're going to be live streaming this trial on WFA.com and also on WFA Plus. I'll have experts in throughout the trial, and I hope you guys will watch us and follow us, because I think we're going to be offering important perspective during this trial.
Yeah, Tanya, and I love that we're going to have you doing that because we'll definitely be dipping in and checking with you as well. I know you've been following this for so long, and it will be some excellent coverage. Tanya, thank you very much for that primer. We will look forward to seeing you again next week.